music, culture,
arts, crime, politics, and romance. These are some of the topics and issues people care about.
Well, on Talk PM, we care about these issues too.
So, tune in to Talk PM on Wednesdays with your gentleman host, Matthew V. Thomas
and Kanai McCarthy
on AM 1000.
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Don't miss the opportunity
to discuss the matters that are affecting you.
This is Talk PM. U.S. Virgin Islands, you're listening to Caribbean's news talk, weather, and sports station. Online, on air, WVWI, AM 1000, the new Radio 1. Talk PM. It's the hour of 7 o'clock. And we are your gentleman hosts. This is Talk PM.
Good evening, everybody out there. Welcome to another edition of Talk PM, where we have refreshing evening talks with your gentleman hosts, Kanai McCarthy and Matthew V. Thomas. Our calling number tonight is 774-8255. That number again is 774-8255. This show we have prepared for you tonight is titled Elections 2014, Topics of Importance.
So, to everyone out there and to Matthew, the reason I think that we should do something of this magnitude is really to discuss the important issues that are plaguing our community. Concerned voters should really care about in this election climate. The issues that we will be discussing tonight are issues that we believe everyone should definitely observe and should recognize whether or not the candidates for the Senate, Congress, and the gubernatorial positions are really addressing these matters, because you have to look to see exactly what they're saying about these issues, and if they're addressing them, then what's the reason for these candidates omitting these important issues that will stay affecting our community. So this will give us an idea as to how they will create some sort of change or create solutions to change or fix these issues that we are facing currently. And so my first idea was to create at least a top 10 list that we believe everyone in the community should look at the solutions that they're proposing to see if it even makes sense or is it realistic.
Insanity is the process of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Year after year after year, we take the same approach. We listen to these platitudes, so-called platforms, and we don't hold anybody accountable. So as I go through my listing, you're going to see that I have worded it in a way that actually holds candidates accountable for the first time in VI history.
I don't even believe that people even pay attention to them. So I like the idea that you place that there. That's my biggest issue, because if we really ever cared, if someone comes up and they say their platform is to change the future. So somebody says, okay, we're going to change the future. Are they addressing education? How are they addressing it? What issues in education they say they want to target?
This show is going to be the first show that really sticks it to them. We don't just want to hear what you're going to do. Because if you look at the history, you find a lot of times we put in people in office to sit in AC and nice leather chairs and just whisper among themselves and try to figure it out then. This day and age 2014, they need to go into that legislative building and hit the ground running with proven things that have taken place in similar parts of the world that we can apply here and say, you know what, we're going to take this and run with it.
No detailed idea. We're going to hire more persons to this. We're going to fix it. It may be just as vague as that.
And you know what kind of made me want to think that way? When the set of legislators had the salary hike. It happened like a thief in the night. And the community was appalled. They were upset. They were like, how in the world we still struggling and increasing a great portion of your salary? The question was asked to them, would you be in favor of repealing the legislation that bumped up your salary? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. And what happened? What happened? We are getting ready to vote in new senators and their salaries at the same thing. I learned from my mistake. So the next question I would ask them, would you be in support of implementing legislation and supporting such legislation to repeal the bill that hiked everybody's salary? Then you holding somebody accountable. If they don't, push forward some sort of bill, then you know to get them out because they can't be trusted.
And audience, that's the whole point for tonight. To get everyone to think in depth and really in keen about what we're going to do come November. How you're going to vote. The reason behind the numbers they're going to push or the ballot you're going to select. What thought process are you going to go through? What's at the front of your mind? Because it's going to be a critical 2 and 4 years ahead of us when you're going to make these decisions that are going to obviously really affect your life. So it's really important that we begin to really think and not just consider, okay, our friends are running and what favors we're going to get from these friends.
A lot of people need to realize that this same scenario took place back when the current governor and the candidate was vying for the title. One candidate says, listen, cutbacks, I have to send people home. People are going to get the pink slips. The other candidate was like, that's not going to happen. But guess what? When the candidate got in, that's what happened. You have to think realistically, and those who are coming into office have to be so diplomatic in the way that they speak and the research that they do.
And the one thing I also want to preach is empowerment. And that's empowerment to the people to realize their rights and they realize that these candidates are putting themselves out there. They're actually looking for a job.
Yeah, it's a job interview.
You know, they're interviewing. And so you have to really use that power. We really underestimate our power. It's just there. We're not using it to full capacity to fully take advantage of it to force the change that we need in our community. The biggest thing that we need to realize as November approaches is that we have the power to create that change in our society. Like, no one is going to come and help us. And if we're still looking for a handout from the men that we're going to just pull out of the situations that we're in, we're going to have to really pull our resources together here and really begin to fight for the things that we know will pull us through for a proper resolution.
And most importantly, I think we need to, even though if you was my friend Kanaya, and I don't think that you are capable of filling the position of a legislator, I'm not going to boost up your head. I'm going to support you. But at the same time, I'm going to say, you know what? Maybe you're not quite ready yet. You need to go and do a little more research to build yourself to be the best you can be, because it's critical at this point in time. I heard somebody say, oh, where he from? Savan? Oh, where he from? Nunugot? Okay, I put him in. I'm like,
that's my area. That's my family, right?
Yeah.
Those are the comments.
Oh, I only voted for 2 people. That's because one I went to school with. And no, we need to get out that mentality, because that's the same mentality.
But what would it take, though? We see we are struggling. We see what's happening with WAPA. We see what's happening with our leaders and corruption. We see what's happening with our crime situation. So what would it take for us? Do we need to be like seriously impoverished, like
I think so.
like how some of our other Caribbean islands?
It's most darkest before light comes, and we gotta get out that mentality. I'm talking about grown folks talking about, oh, he from Savan, he from such and such, I giving him a vote. You have to think way beyond that. This person has to not only bring a powerful platform, but also have to have some type of measurements of success in their life, whether it is professional life or personal life. You know, sometimes people say, you know, the personal life don't count.
Stick a pin right there. Do you agree with that your personal life does not count as a person that's running for public office?
Yeah, the personal life, it has something to do with it.
Most definitely.
How you are in your personal life is going to reflect in your professional life. You have some people who excel in their professional life, but their personal life is not so.
But I guess need to draw precise scope as to how far that goes then, because when we think personal life, what are we talking about? Are we talking about their sexual preferences, their finances, their friendships? Because I know there's a certain scope. There are a lot of things in your personal life that actually does transfer or carry over into your public life, and they go hand in hand. So
friendships, relationships, like if I am interviewing a candidate, I want to know who is this candidate's 5 people they spend the most time around. Because I guarantee you, if they spend the most time around 5 criminals, chances are they're going to be a criminal. They're going to have those type of thoughts. If they spend the most time around 5 people who have been indicted on corruption charges, most likely
guilty by association.
Yes. And this is not just me saying this. This is actually science. You will become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time
and
around.
It's a fair understanding to have too. That's basic. So you have to really consider that. So that's why we here at Top and really agree that your personal life is going to have a part to play. That's why they call it public office. You're not already placing yourself out there on a pedestal to be interviewed by everyone.
And then guess what?
If you're stealing money, Matthew, you know, to be embezzling from your company where you work for years, why now you could work for the public office, your new employer to be, and we can trust you to not embezzle from us?
Now, my 5 of my closest friends are now supporting me. Guess what? When I get in office, who I bringing along with me?
Your 5 closest criminal friends.
Exactly. So we need to put a stop to this.
So as you touch on that, can that not be a clear reason as to why we have some of the government corruption that we have? But no, you're here. You're on Matthew to work with me, executive assistant or executive director of one of the departments. I pretty much give you opportunity to use the government funds as your personal bank account.
As they say, it's like a rat watching cheese. But what are some of the things on your list?
Number 1, crime.
I actually looked at it in order of how I would like it done. The first thing that needs to be established is that legislation introduction for salary cutback. Because that was a promise that every one of those candidates who got in that was asked, they supported that salary cutback. And I think if they're closer to how the average man and woman struggles, then they'll work a little harder to make change.
But I'll say this though. Here's my thing. I have it broad as to looking at all these candidates here. These are the issues that we as a community have been complaining about. Here are the stats. Here's what's happening. Now tell me what your platform is to address it. What have you done in your personal life, in your professional life that shows you can truly back up what you have said?
When we speak about crime, anything, I want you to tell me, listen, this is what I plan to implement to curb crime. I've already looked at the similar situations in Trinidad and Barbados, and these are the steps that they have taken. They have dropped crime by 40% when it was implemented 6 months ago. So this is what I'm ready to implement. They need to be specific.
All we want to know is that it's going to happen and happen soon. Be specific in saying this is how this plan is going to work, and say these are the results we can see for over the next couple months or years. And guess what? You can be even that innovative, which I think adds more credence to you as a political leader, even if it has not been developed. But you can show this is why you think it would work. This is what you believe. But it's still detailed so people can see exactly this is the plan. Because, I mean, you work for any company. That's what you do. You don't just go and give vague statements. You write up something that's detailed. So in the same way, we expect you to come on a platform and not just say, okay, I'm going to reduce crime by 30% next year. How are you going to do that? I'm planning on having a $5 million budget to get more guns, or I'm planning to hire more personnel from my next Caribbean country because locals don't want me in a police force. It's mapping it off line by line by saying that getting the guns, getting the personnel, getting insurance, I have all the funding for it. But the whole point is, I still believe we're on agreement, is that it has to be detailed. Which is the point of everything. As long as it's detailed, that we can hold you to it at the end of the day to say, by 2 months you said you were going to do this, and then 3 months after you said you were going to accomplish this. This is the exact timeline. That's exactly what we want to see from the different senators and their platforms, and all the candidates, not just the senators, those who are running for Congress, those who are running for the gubernatorial election. So, and audience, feel free to call in at any moment. Talk PM 774-8255. And again, our topic is election 2014, topics of importance.
Facing the loss of a loved one is one of the most difficult realities to grasp. During this emotional period, we understand how hard it can be for families to do proper maintenance towards that grave or memorial.
At Grave Care Virgin Islands, we offer premier burial and memorial maintenance services. We are ready to assist you if you are unable to do so yourself.
Call us today at 340-643-8898 and also visit us via webpage at gravecarevi.com.
Music, culture,
arts, crime, politics, and romance. These are some of the topics and issues people care about.
Well, on Talk PM, we care about these issues too.
So, tune in to Talk PM on Wednesdays with your gentleman host, Matthew V. Thomas
and Kanai McCarthy
on AM 1000.
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Don't miss the opportunity
to discuss the matters that are affecting you.
This is Talk PM.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast, already in progress.
Elections 2014, topics of importance. One topic I would like to point out, and I think it should be immediately one of the first things the incoming governor tackles, is a constitutional convention.
Yeah, talk about that.
We're on the 5th constitutional convention. There was one in 1964, 1971, 1977, 1980, 2007, and still no solid constitution. The convention needs to be looked at very, very seriously, and the incoming governor needs to put that one of his number one things to be done, because you can't run a house with no order. There's too many loopholes in the current documents that we have that govern these Virgin Islands, so we need the convention. And we have a caller, so let's take this caller. Good evening, caller. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good night.
Good night, sir. How are you doing?
All right, fine. This is a nice topic you all have interest in. I'd like you all to put on the list people tax money that they have worked hard for.
That's excellent. I'm sure we'll place that right on the economy. But thank you for your concern.
Let me ask you this. Do you see a pattern in the way a lot of people approach the candidates and the way they answer questions versus how we are trying to put it forward this time around, whereas you come to us, but you come to us with a detailed plan and how it's done mirrored off of something that's already been successful in a similar part of the world?
Base it on the law, because there's law that they are not following. Because there's laws where we're supposed to get our tax and certain things by laws. They are not following the laws what they themselves are lawmakers implementing.
Yes, correct.
And that is the problem in the Virgin Islands. The lawmakers are not interpreting and following the same laws that they are making. All right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, caller.
All right, good night.
Good night. So, can we also talk about the economy too?
Yes.
About the issues that we have in our economy, the closing down of our events that are still affecting our territory. Just before we go to that, let's go to the caller that's on the line.
Good evening, caller. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Tell me something. Can we Virgin Islanders go to other islands and dictate how to run their show? We are U.S. We are not the British islands. We are not, and this is how you all come across.
No. What we're saying, or at least what I'm saying, is that we need to pull measurements of success from somewhere, and we need to apply it to us as Virgin Islanders.
No, we can't.
But caller
we
too.
are totally different from them. We have America behind us. Those other islands don't. We have been bought with a price, and we should respect that.
And remember, we were only purchased from the U.S. because of our geographic location. So it's not by chance, but by design.
No, not by geographic location, because Russia was going to take us over.
Well,
America stepped in.
Geographic location,
so,
meaning that they didn't
want... No, that's not geographic.
Invasion.
That's humanitarian. We could have been taken over by them and have a hard time than what we have now.
I mean, we could do our research.
And you all know it.
It wasn't out of love the U.S. borders. I'll tell you that much. Okay, we have another caller on the line, but thank you for calling.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
I do appreciate the calls from everyone. This will definitely continue.
Yes.
We have a second part because we didn't get to run through even a quarter of the different areas that we believe people in the community should consider when they're going to the voting booth. And the next time when we do the second part, we'll give you a rundown of some of the candidates and also the election calendar so that the voters can be abreast of what's happening, to definitely go out and show the machines are working. Go out and definitely get your voters registration ID cards and everything, so you place a great impact into what's happening in our country.
Yes. If there's one thing I want to let the people understand, is that we have to change our approach when it comes to listening and hearing what the candidates tell us. We no longer want to hear, or we no longer should hear, especially in this time of crisis, platforms that come in the form of platitudes, which are empty promises. How are you going to help us make this brighter future in tomorrow in steps A, B, and C? Where have you found this proven method? And do you have measurements of success? It's not the time and it's not the place to be implementing things that are not proven.
And I hear you say that a lot, but just as we close, mind you, I don't expect any candidate to stick to a strict paradigm such as that, because we know the Virgin Islands, it has completely different dynamics of the sort. So you may have to cater things to our unique situation. That's why I said initially too, I also sponsor innovative ideas, but show us that it works, that it can work. Show it that it can be realistic enough that it can be implemented and you can see X dollars or X percentage in results. So once you can show it and be detailed about it, then the voting population can definitely be appreciative of that.
All right. So with that being said, we would like to thank you for joining us for another edition of Talk PM, where we have refreshing evening talks with your gentleman hosts, Kenan McCarthy and Matthew V. Thomas. Our topic tonight was Election 2014, Topics of Importance, Part 1. Heated discussion as far as, the convention goes and different things we want to focus on. With that being said, we would like to tell you to tune in to us next Wednesday. We'll continue this discussion. This has been Talk PM.
Facing the loss of a loved one is one of the most difficult realities to grasp. During this emotional period, we understand how hard it can be for families to do proper maintenance towards that grave or memorial.
At Grave Care Virgin Islands, we offer premier burial and memorial maintenance services. We are ready to assist you if you are unable to do so yourself.
Call us today at 340-643-8898 and also visit us via webpage at gravecarevi.com.
music, culture,
arts, crime, politics, and romance. These are some of the topics and issues people care about.
Well, on Talk PM, we care about these issues too.
So, tune in to Talk PM on Wednesdays with your gentleman host, Matthew V. Thomas,
and Kanai McCarthy
on AM 1000.
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Don't miss the opportunity
to discuss the matters that are affecting you.
This is Talk PM.